We headed into the mountains of North Carolina early on a cold November morning and unloaded the bikes in a beautiful area. As we started up the mountain, what stood out in our minds was how beautiful the waterfalls were as we traveled up the mountain.
That creek, it was amazing. I kept telling guys, I'm like, man, I'm not even watching where I'm driving because I'm looking to the left, looking to the right, looking at the scenery that this place has to offer. Waterfalls, white water. You know, in the summer I do a lot of whitewater kayaking. I look over to my left coming up through there and I'm thinking, man, this would be a creek to run a whitewater boat on, that's for sure.
These water crossings were steep going into them, with swift running water that made it exciting to cross.
Most of the time, 90% of the time, we ride in public parks that see a lot of activity on the trails. There's no trail maintenance crew over here. There's never been a trail maintenance crew on these trails, you know, since people started riding them. That's the beauty of it. There's no mud. I mean, look at these buggies. They're clean, no mud. We're just on rocks and leaves and dirt, and it's God's country. It really is.
After several of these, the mountain turned straight up, and we rode some of the steepest climbs we've been on all year. The ground was a little soft as well as a little frozen, and this let our tires really spin on the steep incline. What an adrenaline rush getting to the top.
This is a good group of guys. I mean, they've all got killer machines. They've all got a lot of experience riding. It's obvious. I hadn't met many of them until this morning. And that's the beauty of the sport that we do, is you pull up, they got a razor on it, you introduce yourselves, you take off riding with them, you spend all day and make great memories.
Some of the more difficult trails had drive-arounds, but since we were with Anthony Humphrey of Tony's Toys, we tackled almost all of them head-on. A few that only Anthony took on.
It was quite the adventure. Me being from Florida, alligators and swamps to groundhogs and rocks. So it's quite a different experience for me, being used to going mudding and stuff, and up here it's, a lot different. Beautiful scenery, just love it.
Once again, the group was prepared for minor repairs on the mountain as the film crew broke an axle on the very last obstacle to make it up the mountain. Luckily, David Hicks travels with spare axles, and within 15 minutes, he had us repaired and back on the trail.
David is my ride or die guy, and he had been telling me, hey, when we're in the woods and I break an axle, this is how I change it. I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical of it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how good that would work. The axle broke in the front of the Polaris, and David looks at me and he says, hey, I've got an axle, you want to change it? And I'm like, I don't want to hold these people up. Oh, we can have it changed in 15 minutes. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll try it. Sure enough, boom, boom, boom. Axle's in and out, and we're back riding.
For me today, the biggest thing for me, I wasn't really ready with my rig. I just got this thing. I run over to Tony's yesterday and got some rock guards where I could be able to come on this trip. And that's how I found out what was going on, and really need a winch. I'd have felt more secure today if I'd had a few more items on the machine, but we'll work on a little overtime and get what we need as we go.
The scenic views from the top of the mountain were majestic. The tops of the trees were frozen with a layer of shimmery ice with the sun beaming down. What a great day of riding.
That's, you can't put that in words. That was 270 degrees of mountains and valleys as far as you could see. Ice on top of the peaks, unbelievable.
The trip down the mountain was steep and rough as we went down the other side, traveling down an old creek bed.
Yeah, there was some hills and stuff them boys hit that'd be awful challenging for me at this time, you know. But I'm looking forward to when I learn more about it, you know, getting on there and getting with it.
We stopped to play on some of the side trails that were steep and a lot of fun. A fallen tree over the trail that could have stopped us from continuing was quickly cut and removed by a rider carrying a small chainsaw.
It usually makes the day longer because when you come prepared, you brake, you can fix, keep on riding. It happened to me a couple of weeks ago at Windrock. I cut a sidewall out of the tire and guys with us had a tube, put a tube in the tire and made a patch and pumped it up and rode about 5 more hours. So if not, I'd have been going to the truck and been done.
The more prepared you are to take on the mountain, the better day of riding you will have.